Okay, let's talk about one of my least favorite things in the world to do, and that is winter fishing. You guys in Florida should probably just go ahead and stop watching this video because I'm in Tennessee and it gets cold, like really cold, and it's a little bit different. Um, First of all, I'm stuck on the bank, so I have to go about it differently than the guys on Kentucky that are offshore on ledges and whatever. I have to scrape up every little bite that I can get. And I have a few different ways I like doing it. So in this video, we're going to go over a few of my favorites and we'll just see what happens. I got the rods, I got the line, I got everything, and we'll go through the setup, the way I like to fish them, just everything. So here we go. Alright, so if you've ever fished with me, you know that I'm a real power fisherman. I like cranking, I like spinner baits, I like doing stuff like that. Slowing down is not a huge thing for me. I'm just not really good at it. I do it and I do it successfully, but that's not where I stand with it. I'd rather be cranking or doing whatever all the time. But this is winter fishing we're talking about. In the winter, you really need to slow down because these fish are lethargic and they're not going to go chasing things around. So whenever I first get out, I like to go ahead and eliminate the power stuff, faster stuff. I start out with a lipless crank like this one. This is a cotton cordell. I like a rattle trap. I like stuff like that. Um, Usually I rig it on 15 to 17 pound line, fluorocarbon. Um, this one in particular is on a 7'6" cranking rod. It's got a 5.3 to 1 gear ratio reel on it, and a lot of guys use a faster reel. I don't. That's just me because it's a lot easier for me to just stick a crankbait on a cranking rod. It's already slowed for deep cranking and stuff. Um, to go along with this, you offshore guys or whatever on a boat, you can go and get something like a 6XD or a 5XD or even a 10XD or whatever you're on, and you can use the same setup. Uh, on this one specifically, on the line rating, I think this is 14 pound vicious copolymer, and it works just about the same. I like to go a little bit heavier if I'm deep cranking. I have a spot where I can throw a 6XD from the bank I like to do it with, and it works out pretty well. Um, so there's the crankbait setup. As far as winter fishing goes, that's the only real power tactic I have are the crankbaits. And so after that, if I don't get a bite, or even if I do get a bite, I like to go back over the area and I'll use something a little bit slower. Um, it's kind of like a jig, just without the skirt material, and it's worked out a lot for me in the past. One winter, I caught my personal best using it. It was back in December of 2013, I believe. It was a 6.03 largemouth, and I caught it off of this exact same lure, different style head. But it's just a simple screw lock football jig head, and it's got on it a net bait pocket craw. I can get the string out of the way, and you just screw it into place, and you put the hook itself inside like that, inside the crawfish. And what I like to do is I'll take it, I'll make a long cast with it, and reel in some slack, and I'll just hop it around a little bit, one or two hops, and then just kill it. And when you kill it, the arms on this one, specifically a pocket craw, it just kind of flails around a little bit like a crawfish does whenever it's in its defensive mode. And so that's how you use it, more or less. Another important thing is the rod and reel combo. For this particular thing, I use a 7'6" heavy action rod, and I use a 7.1 to 1 gear ratio reel. And on this one, on this one I have 20 pound vicious Pro Elite fluorocarbon, In the summer, I generally switch it out for braid, and it still works with braid. I just don't like using it as much. And so that's pretty much my setup for this. This is a really great wintertime bait to use. I catch a lot of fish off of it, and it's really good. I really like it. Alright, so sometimes in place of that craw on a jig head, I'll throw a shaky head. Like this. This is a spot remover, Magnum spot remover. It's got a thicker gauge hook on it and a little screw lock, just with it's the same as the football head the craw's on. On it, I'll put a chaparral finesse worm on there. Usually, I really like their June bug color. That's a really good one. The one I'm holding is uh, blueberry, I believe is what it's called. It's really good. I've liked it. Used it on a Carolina rig a couple times and caught some good fish on it. There's that. And with that, I have, for this setup, I have 14-pound vicious copolymer. This one has a green color to the spool too. It's a green, or it's a low vis green. The rod is a 7-foot medium action, and really, I'd rather it be a medium heavy because of the thicker gauge hook. Trying to get through the worm itself, but that's alright. The reel, I think it's a 6.3 to 1, 6.2 to 1 reel. It's not really that fast, and just it's a shaky head. You toss it out and you shake it. I mean, there's not that much to it. I like to use this presentation whenever I'm trying to either, number one, if I want to go more compact, or if I don't want as much action as with like a crawfish, I'll change to something like this. And sometimes I don't. I just skip the crawfish and I'll just throw this. I just like throwing it. It's fun, and it works. It catches fish even on some of the hardest days that you'll have, and it's just one of my favorite ways to catch fish in the winter. It produces a lot more than a lot of the other techniques, for me at least, on the bank, and just works. Alright, so here's another one that is kind of a search bait like a crankbait, but it still has a little bit of the other presentations I've shown you mixed in, and that's a Carolina rig. The Carolina rig, it's just your basic Carolina rig. I mean, if you look it up online, it'll show you. Take a swivel like this is a bigger one, and leader, I use a mono leader. I think everybody uses a mono leader, and then a worm hook like this one. This one's already pre-tied. This has a chaparral 6-inch June bug worm on it. Really nice. Really like it. Above the swivel, generally you tie on a bead, and then either a 3/4 or a 1-ounce egg sinker. I'm using a 1-ounce in this one, or I will be whenever I actually do use it. And it kind of has the same, like, it searches. I use it as a search bait a lot. It's like a crank, but it's still got that finesse-ness to it. The way that I fish it is there is no casting it. You're not casting it. You lug it out there. Like you just throw it. Let it sink to the bottom. Let the worm come down. The worm will kind of suspend there a little bit, and it just slowly does its little dancing thing. And what you do is, some people hop it a little bit to give it a little jump to it. I like to drag it. I'll drag it real slow or really fast, depending on how I feel. I'll usually start out with a faster drag and then I'll slow it down as time goes. And as far as the rod goes for it, I use the same setup as I do for that football head with the craw on it, the 7'6" heavy rod with a 7.1 to 1 gear ratio reel, 20-pound fluorocarbon, and then that's just about that. Don't forget, the important part about this is to use mono with the leader. This really makes a difference, especially now in the winter. One thing that I didn't mention is the kinds of areas you want to be throwing this kind of stuff during the winter. you have a boat and you have that option, generally you're looking for deeper water. The fish will go deeper because it's warmer the farther down you get. Around here, I'm on Kentucky. You got ledges, you got your humps, you got just everything. Deep structure, whatever you need to do. Um, Other lakes could be brush piles, it could be anything. Me, I'm stuck on the bank, and what I try to do is find rock. Rock heats up, heats the water up, the fish are going to come to it. You got your source of food, like with the crawfish. Crawfish are going to hide in rocks. You got all that going for it. So, and I'm lucky enough to have 3 or 4 miles of shoreline with nothing but rocks and gravel and just stuff like that fish relate to. And there are certain key spots in it you have to find. A place that has deep water close by. I know there's one place I like to go. It has like a little ledge coming up to it, sort of like a ledge. It's not really a full-blown ledge. And generally there's fish around it, either sitting on it or around. They're always, I can usually pick up a few. Um, and that whole crawfish thing just shines. You can also use, like the crankbait I showed you the lift with, sometimes even I'll use a deep diver out there because they bump into those rocks and create a reaction strike. But in the winter, it's not exactly what I'm looking for. And so that's pretty much it. Just look for stuff like that, points, just whatever you can do. It works, and that's pretty much all I have for you. That's as far as I am in winter fishing. That's what works for me, and that's what you'll see me doing if I post any videos or do whatever for the next at least couple months till around March, thereabout, and then we'll get into springtime fishing and stuff like that. So thank you guys for watching.